Hey everyone, this is David here, founder at Stately, and Farzad.
Farzad here, just an engineer, not the founder of Stately.
Although he frequently mentions himself as the CEO. Hostile takeover. All
Fake
right,
it till you make it.
yeah. So anyway, last week we had a lot of fun. We did an impromptu stream where we basically created a graphical application, or at least the beginning of one, using stately and XStates and state charts in general. And we talked about how we would model certain behaviors with that. So I'm going to go ahead and share that code right now. It's over here. And I really hope that everyone could see the font size here. If you don't, then please let us know in the comments. Hey, Balint, if that's how I pronounce your name. Yeah. So let's review what we've done last week. Do you remember? I barely remember. But oh yeah, so you could click here, and clicking here adds all of these boxes. You could select a box, and you could press backspace. Yeah, in fact, I'm going to change something here because I was trying something and I realized it didn't work. So I'm going to make it work where we also want delete. So if we click here and I delete, okay, so now I could press backspace, I could press delete, and those go away. So, hey, Reza and hey, Valens, thank you. Yep, our font size, I think, is pretty good. Yeah, okay, so we have key down over here, and it's yelling at us because we didn't specify the type of it over here. So I guess I could just say key down. I wish I could just pull the keyboard event. Maybe I could do keyboard. Oh, hey. Did that work? Yeah, pretty much. Cool, I think that worked. We have the event and we have the keyboard event. So yeah, okay, cool. So we don't really have to worry about that. We have the key as a string. We have everything we need. Cool. So we have that working. All right. So Toby asks, hi, what is the plan for today? What do you think, Farzad? What should we do?
Let's complete the interactions on each of the canvas items, like deleting. We cover selection, right?
Oh, so selection, I think, was one of the next things that we had to do. Well, we are selecting a single one. However, notice here that in context, go away. In context, we have selection as an array, which means ideally we could have something where we're selecting multiple at the same time.
Oh, and we can go next level. Like there are different interactions, like pressing Shift and then multi-selecting, or Command A to select all. Even a drag box where you drag over some items and it detects the overlaps and selects them along the way.
Yeah. So we could definitely do that. So actually, let's take a look at multi-selection. I think that that's really interesting. So the first thing that I would do, we have an event here, which is box.select ID string. And we also want some sort of flag to say if it's multiple or not. Or, well, I guess really not multiple, but like, I was going to say if shift is pressed, but I think that's too specific.
I think ID could be either a single string or an array of strings.
Well, so the thing is, let's say I'm clicking one at a time, but I press the shift key and then I click another and another and another, right? So I'm gonna just add a Boolean over here. It's just gonna be shift Boolean. We're gonna make it optional just because it's not specified yet. I don't know. I'm just being lazy.
How about clearing selection later, David? I mean, don't you think maybe like a selected end event or something is going to be a little more scalable here?
Okay, so yeah, we have box select and we have, I guess, selection.clear. What are you saying?
Oh yeah. I was thinking maybe if you have box select and then box select at end, where it notifies that selection has ended, then we could figure out whether we've been collecting like multiple IDs along the way or just a single ID. But let's go with this for now. It's simpler.
Yeah, exactly. So, we have box select, and if Shift is pressed, then we know that we're going to select multiple of them, and so this is the place in the logic where we would look. Where right now we're just adding to that, but really one of two things can happen, and that's why we actually need the original context. So, if we have events.shift, or I guess we should call this event.multi. I'm just going to keep it event.shift right now just to match the mouse event.
Yeah.
Then we're going to return context.selection.concat. So we're going to add that events.id. Otherwise, we're just going to return the events.id. And so to test this out, let's go ahead and just make shift true. So in theory, when I click, I could select multiple, and if I delete, then they all go bye-bye. So that's working pretty well. We do have on the mouse events, we have event dot that
Was it modifier or something?
I don't remember, so I'm just gonna log just to refresh my memory. Wow, that is a lot of errors. Good job.
I'm surprised that TypeScript didn't get in the way.
Yeah, I think that's what happens when you have like just a lot of. Where's my? Oh, you know what? That's because
it's on the shape and you're not passing it along to the
Exactly. So we want. Man, I really wish I had Copilot here. This is a mouse event, but it's a lot easier when you just Copilot do it for you. Mouse event each. Why is it so specific? Okay, so this is what we call error-driven development, where we just copy whatever the error is, and then we just pass it on to here. But now it's yelling at me, probably because this this is so frustrating.
You need the React version of this, the synthesis event.
Yeah, that's very
let's mark it as any and move on.
Okay, well, what's a native event here?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Why? Okay, actually, you know what? Okay, cool. I think that works. That was really frustrating. So, yeah, types in React are really frustrating. So, okay, so now what we could do, the entire reason that I did that was so that we could figure out events dots and then okay, yeah, so we have shift key. And I think shift key is a Boolean. Cool. So shift event dot shift key, and we could rename this to multiple or not. So now when we click a bunch and I just select one at a time, it's only going to select one at a time. But if I press the shift key, it selects multiple. When I take the shift key off, you can see my hand over here, then it goes back to just selecting one. And I think that that's pretty much the behavior that we want. So
yeah,
that works. Cool. Oops, emoji panel. Sorry about that. Yeah, so there's that. What else?
There's a comment asking what frame do you use? I'm not sure what that means.
What frame do you use?
Oh, I think that's Code Sandbox if you're referring to the editor.
Yeah, this is Code Sandbox. Lots of options today. You have Code Sandbox, you have Stack Blitz, I think Replit. I've never played with Replit, but they're in the news. So I guess they raised a bunch of money or something to do with AI. Yeah.
Yeah, they recently released their new recently trained LLMA or something like that. They have their own ghost thingy that's equivalent to Copilot. Anyway.
Yeah. So I actually want to show in the editor, we have this concept too. And all right, now you could tell that I was trying to make a coffee machine, which pretty fun. Actually, this is great. A little sidetrack into what this is. I was actually preparing an example in the new upcoming V5 documentation. This also works for V4, but I'm just refreshing the examples. But this basically teaches how do final states in parallel regions work, which sounds complicated, but it's really not. So in this example, this one should have a guard. So if water is boiling, for example, and I'm going to go ahead and do auto layouts here, just so it's a little bit nicer. So I was showing that when you're simulating, if all of the regions in the parallel states reach its final state, then the parallel state itself is done too. So if you're grinding and grinding complete, you're in the ground state. And for the water, if it's heated, then both of these are going to be final. So this is going to be sent. And so now you're brewing. You go into the brewing state where you could actually prepare the coffee. But that's not what I want to show you here. I want to show you the behavior of I'm pressing shift and I could select multiple of these. So that works. Oh, this gets a little, that's because that's actually over here. But yeah, you get the idea. You could select multiple of these. And so if I take my hand off, then you click one. But do you select that way, or what's the way that you normally select in the studio?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I do the selection box. I drag from a point and try to, cover all the nodes that I want. Yeah.
I like this. It's especially if you're using a mouse, it's a lot easier just depending on the style of editing that you like doing. So I think I could also, okay, so that doesn't actually work yet. Maybe we'll do a stream one day where we're editing the machines in the studio, but selecting this, pressing shift and selecting something else doesn't work. Actually, it does work. It just doesn't work with the box. But I actually really want to model this selection box. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Let's do it. Okay. So in order to do that, I'm actually going to, here, let me go ahead and find my machine again. I'm just going to quickly show how we could do this in the studio. And I guess a feature request to self and to our team is I wish we could import code and then have this entire code preserved as we're editing it. So, okay. Auto layout does not like single state machines, but that's okay because we're actually making a multi state machine. So we have our diagramming app over here. And when you try and think, so when you're on the canvas and you do like mouse down, or I'm actually going to do pointer down, right? Oh wait, that's a state. So this is just your normal state. But when you have canvas dot pointer down, then we transition, and I'm going to clean this up in a bit. But we transition to the selecting state. So you could imagine now we're in the state where a box is going to be drawn around the selection, and over here we're going to add a self transition on canvas dot pointer move. So as a pointer is moving, and I guess this could just be pointer move. Canvas dot pointer move. Naming things is hard. Okay, so when our pointer is up, so canvas dot pointer, or is it pointer out? I always get
it's pointer up, pointer out, and pointer cancel. There are 3 of them.
Oh my gosh. Why? Let's stick with pointer up just for the sake of this. So we're selecting, and then when we get back, now we're normal again. I wonder what the code output of this is. Okay, it's going to be a lot of things.
It's a good opportunity to take to say that we worked on a better output code. That's going to be probably presented tomorrow during our office hours.
Exactly. So yeah, be sure to check out the office hours. We are streaming tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So about 4 hours ago, or like, 8 hours from now. Is it 8 hours from now? My math is probably wrong.
Yeah. I think it's about 4 hours or 3.5 from now. So it's 4 p.m. my time, which is 1 p.m. GMT.
Okay, so it's tomorrow morning, and it is on this channel. So if you're not signed up for alerts or you're not subscribed, please do so. We will greatly appreciate it. But here's the idea. When the canvas is pointed down, we're in the selecting state, but we need to maintain like that original, what we call a box position. So let's go in
That's the
context.
first position that you click your mouse. The
Exactly.
start of the box.
Exactly. So I'm going to just call this box point 1. And the initial value might be something like, I know you can't see it that well, but we're going to say, I don't know, just like, well, actually, it's null right now. So that doesn't even matter. And it's yelling at me for some reason.
Oh, because it understands that this is an empty string.
Okay. So we have box point 1 and box point 2. And so, of course, this is null as well. And so the idea is that, that's cool. Can I do it with,
yeah, because the first one was identified as a string, and now it's a stringified null, whereas the other one is actually null.
Okay, so I could just set it to null, and
yeah,
again, that's box point 2, and that's box point 1. And again, we're going to be revamping this and making it a lot easier to edit things like that. All right, so when we go into the selecting state and the canvas is pointed down, I can't wait for blocks. Anyway, you definitely need to check out the stream tomorrow because Farzad is going to be showing some amazing things. But just in plain English, we're going to set box points 1. And so this is going to be the first place where we move our mouse. So for example, when I click here, that top left point is our box point 1. And the reason that we're not saying top left or anything is because we could really move this anywhere, like we're going to show you. So yeah, that's just one of the points. And the other point refers to the other diagonal. And so that's what we want to keep track of as well. So this one is going to be set box points 2. I should really call it a sign, but just for clarity, that's box point 2. And then on pointer up, since we already have that box points 2, we don't really need to record anything here. If you want to, you can, but otherwise, we're just looking for those 2 points. And while we're selecting, we are going to be just here. I'm going to add another action over here. We're just going to be selecting everything inside the box. So would that make sense? We're normal. You're pointer down, so you're selecting. And as you're moving, you're setting the second box points. And so you have a box. And you're figuring out which elements are inside of that box. Which we have all that information inside the state machine anyway, so we could easily figure that out. And then when your pointer is up, we're back to normal. And so that is how box selection works in a nutshell. I mean, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but from an overall perspective, and in a way that you could explain to pretty much anyone, even if they don't code, this is a flowchart for how it works. All right, so
I just posted a link in the in the chat, in the comments, sorry, for the video to the office hours tomorrow. That's a schedule, so you can notify yourself by clicking on the notify button on that page, or even better, subscribe to our channel.
Awesome. And Toby mentioned, how about box point origin and box point destination? We could do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep it simple for less typing, though. So I'm just going to say box point 1, and this is null right now, and then box point 2, this is null. And so we're going to have a few events now. And so again, those events are type canvas dot pointer down. I think it's all lowercase.
Yep.
Okay. Canvas.pointer move. And canvas.pointer up. Farzad said that there's multiple of those. I'm gonna hope that pointer up works. And
yeah, it works here. Those are for special cases. We need additional payload, right? For all of them.
Yes, yeah. So for pointer down, we have client X, and let me just make a points type. Interface points. This is X number, Y number, and yeah, that works. But the native, actually, yeah. So I'm just going to put point over here. This is a point. This makes it a lot easier. We're going to have to do some conversion, but that's okay. Points, and this, whatever. We don't need a point over there. Okay, so now it gets exciting because we actually need to add states now. So we're going to have, I really wish that the XState VS Code extension were available in Code Sandbox. Maybe one day. Okay, so we have a normal state and we have a selecting state. And in the normal state, on this is canvas.pointer down, we are going to be going to the selecting state, and we're also going to be doing an action. And the action that we're going to be doing is we're going to assign the box point 1 as event dot. Did I get that right? Event dot points. Yeah, it's just yelling at me because of box point 1 does not exist on. Oh, okay. That's just because we don't have it in context yet.
Yeah.
If you want to add that, we could pair on that. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna just magically watch these go.
I'm gonna go on mute because my mechanical keyboard is extremely loud.
Okay. So now we have canvas.pointer move, and we're not going to add a target because we're still in the selecting state. So we're going to add actions, assign, and we're going to now be setting box points 2. So box points 2. And this is going to be the same thing. We're going to have events dots points. Wow. Look at all those type errors disappear. And then, of course, we need canvas.pointer up. And that's just going to be going back to normal. As a good practice, if you want to do the shorthand, I don't know what happened over there. But if you want to do the shorthand, then you can, like canvas pointer up normal. But for consistency, I've been getting used to just writing out target normal. And that makes things a lot easier for adding actions, adding guards, and adding meta information and whatever else you need to add in there. So
plus, if you're using a studio or any other tooling from Stately, we're always standardizing the output of the tools so that there's always target for all the state targets. And also actions are always like an array, basically all the side effects.
Yeah, so Farzad added box point 1 as points. It could be points or null. So
okay.
Yeah, but I mean that's actually fine for now, because what I was going to do is I'm going to just do an example over here just to make sure things work. Like x10, y20, and x50, y100. I have no idea what this box is going to look like. But those are our 2 points that we're going to be working with. And so now we actually need to visualize that box. So we're going to be creating a selection box. And the props are going to be
start and end.
I was going to just say point 1, which is a point, and point 2, which is another point. And okay, so it's going to just be an absolutely positioned box. I actually really wish I had Chakra over here. We could do some nice stuff with that. But whatever, we'll just do a div. And so this div, I'm going to give it some style. Position absolute. And remember, everything here is actually relative. So this is going to be relative to its parent. And so the top is going to be, oh, okay. So I have to do a couple of things first. We have 2 points. And so the start point, so point 1 and point 2 can literally be anywhere. So to figure out what the, what the first point is, like the top left points, those are going to be the minimums. So we're going to say const min left equals math.min, and this is going to be 0.1.x and 0.2.x.
You need to access props.
Yeah. 1.2. Okay, we'll just destructure from there. And so we're going to do the same thing with top. So top, and this is going to be the minimum y values. Then we're going to be doing the same thing with max, so max left and max top. Why didn't that work? Why is it not targeting that?
Because you're live coding.
yeah, exactly. The live coding gods are screaming at me for some reason. So this is going to be min top picks, and we're going to have left of min left picks. And now we are going to set the others. So bottom is going to be max top, which actually doesn't make sense at all. Max top is bottom. I don't know why I named it that way. And then this is going to be max left. You know what? So instead of calling things rights, we're going to say max left and max top for bottom. Actually, it's not a good idea. But anyway.
You're revamping American education system.
Yeah. Let's also set the opacity. So the opacity is going to be 0.5, and we're going to give it a background of...
Go RGBA, some blue.
RGBA, whatever. Let's just go with...
yeah.
I can't even spell turquoise. Why did I choose that word? All right, teal. and a border of just so that everyone sees it really well. So 2 pixels solid teal. That doesn't make sense. RGBA, or actually I could do this. I could say it's RGB, right? So we don't want R, we don't want G, we do want some blue. So I'm just gonna say 5, and we want it like somehow like transparent. So I think that works.
I don't think that works.
Oh, we actually need to render it. Let's find out. So
does that actually work? That
yeah.
hex with 4 lengths.
I confidently say yeah, but watch it not work. So we have selection box 0.1, and so 0.1 is going to be, we have the context in here somewhere, right? Yeah, we have state.context. So state.context.box.1, and we have 0.2 as state.context.box.2. There you go, selection box. With these are very ugly colors, but we have our selection box. So of course these are hard coded because we're not doing any mouse stuff yet, but we are going to. So here's what I'm thinking. For canvas, we have on click. I'm going to just change this to on double click, just to make it such that you have to double click to add a shape. I think that's fine. And then on pointer down. So this is, again, I keep talking about this, but this is a great thing about Statecharts is that all you need to do is, send an event. We do need to do a little bit of conversion, but that's fine because now the event becomes domain specific rather than tied to the DOM or tied to mobile or whatever else, or tied to your browser. You could have this work in many different environments with the exact same logic. So we are going to, let's see, send. A bunch of choices here, pointer down. And our points, we have to do X, and this is going to be event.client X and Y event.client Y. And so now we could just copy paste this. So it's going to be on pointer move. And then one more. So on pointer up, and this is just going to be pointer up, and we don't have any points here. There's no points. And you can see it doesn't work, or it doesn't work as we expect. And that's because I don't think we're like this. Oh, I think we had to do the same thing as over here, where we had to calculate the offset, which is a little bit annoying, but that's okay.
Oh yeah, because the canvas border is not touching the window, right? The frames. Client text comes from the window, like a screen border.
Yeah, so you could see here we subtracted the canvas position X and the canvas position Y. Okay, I didn't mean to go there. Okay, so what key do I press? Okay, control doesn't work. Option.
Yes, this is live. I'm answering one of the comments. Yeah, this is being live streamed as we speak.
I'll take it as a compliment that they don't think that we're live.
You're such a good coder.
I'm okay. Whoa. Okay, so stuff's happening. That's cool. But I think that I went wrong somewhere.
Let's do it slowly. Okay, the first thing that I would check out is the calculation for min and max.
Okay.
Let's make sure that you got that right. Where are they? Okay.
Oh, you know what? I mean, that's probably not the problem, but I did forget to do one thing over here. When I do pointer down, both box point 1 and box point 2 need to be exactly the same because, otherwise it's not a box. So it's still a little weird, but it is sort of working, I think.
Why is point 1 moving when you have the pointer move?
I'm not entirely sure, but one thing that we could do is we could just console log state.context.point1 and state.context.point2. And so, box point 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So unfortunately, like the context is pretty small. But okay, so point 1 is staying the same, but the box is getting bigger. All right, I'm trying to think. So we have client X minus position X, client Y minus position Y. We have the same thing going on here. So we know that that should be fine. Let's see, 0.1x, 0.2x, min left, min top, max left, or right, and max top. I'm trying to think what could be the problem. So let's say that and actually I'm going to add another bit of functionality while we're still thinking about this, and that's in canvas pointer up, the box actually disappears. So to do that, we assign box point 1 to null and box point 2 to null. And then we could see that okay. So it's actually going to yell at us. And that's because it's still expecting a point. But it actually should be erroring out because, it's because we defined the type as a point. But anyway, so this is where state machines get pretty handy.
David, I just changed the type to accept null, and I also changed the initial context. So we might want to conditionally render that selection box component.
Yeah, which is now what we're doing. So that's pretty good. Okay, so
Steve says, "Are you mutating something?" I hardly think so.
No, we're not mutating anything. Hey, Steve. So
Steve is the creator of TL Draw. Everybody.
Yeah. So by the way, TL Draw, lots of fun stuff here. And of course, they have a selection box. That's exactly what we're trying to build. And we have built that again for the editor, and it does work pretty well. Actually, what's cool is I think that works while we're even moving. I don't know if it works. Oh yeah, we just go out of that state. That's a bug to fix. But yeah, so we're just trying to replicate that in here. And
David, something weird is
oh yeah,
just click once. Yeah, just click once and you see that there's a box. Why?
That shouldn't be happening.
I think the calculation for client X and Y against the frame of the canvas is going wrong right now.
Yeah, you're probably right. So event current target get. Oh yeah, why are we? You know what? Okay, I think
yeah,
I
it
have
shouldn't
an
be event at current target. No, actually that's correct.
No. So this is correct. I'll tell you what's not correct and what I should have done in the beginning. And Steve is probably screaming this right now. But there shouldn't be any pointer events on the selection box. And of course, it doesn't fix the issue. But
could have been another issue.
Okay. I'm honestly having a lot of fun with this though. So, okay, I'm looking at the bottom here. And for example, actually, let's go to the top left. We have X is 2 and 4, and then Y is 2 and 4. Oh, you know what? Geez. Okay. So I made a very, very rookie mistake. This is what happens when you're live coding. I'm setting the bottom and the right. So if this is 2, I'm basically saying that the left is 2 and the right is 2. So it's going to be coming from the right over that. Wow. Okay. So that's wrong. This is what I should be doing instead. The top left is correct, but instead of bottom and right, you want to set the width and the height. So the width is going to be max left minus min left. So anyway, this was a very, very silly mistake, and I apologize for that. And the height is going to be max top minus min top. So basically the difference between those 2 points. And so now everything's going to work. I say before actually trying it out, but it does work. Thank goodness. Okay, console.log. I feel like Steve Ruiz was a really, really good rubber duck here. So
you felt like the pressure you have in the interview, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's going on in the chat?
People are spamming.
Oh yeah.
Johannes and Steve are having fun.
Awesome. Okay, so now let's get on to the final part of this, which is actually selecting it. So we're going to go back to our machine, and the selection is going to happen as we're moving the pointer, at least in this toy example. So we're actually going to be doing 2 things. We're going to be doing our initial assign, which is why I put it in an array, because I'm anticipating something else to happen. And we are going to select some things too. So we're going to be adding to the selection. And so we have our context, the event. We actually don't really need the events. We only need the context. And basically we're selecting everything in our shapes that going back to TL Draw, different apps do this differently. So if I were to create a rectangle over here and here and here, and I draw this, the tiniest touch over here means that they intersect. Now, with things like Excalibur, and I have no idea what's on here. Okay, cool. Nothing bad. But so this is honestly a bit frustrating, but you have to select the entire shape. And so This doesn't really work well when you're like over here and you're like, hey, I'd like to select this rectangle with the thing, and you're like, I'm too zoomed in to do that because it's not fully in view. So you really have to work your arm and select the entire thing. So we're going to be going based on this behavior of if there is any intersection between the selection box and the shapes, then we're going to consider those shapes selected. And so I'm just trying to think of the best way to do that. I have a naive approach, but do you have any ideas?
I'm going to answer one of the comments. Yes, we are recording this. So this is going to be available on the Stately YouTube channel. In fact, all of the recordings, like from 2 years ago, I guess, are all available on the YouTube channel. So yeah, give us a subscribe and then everything should be available.
Yeah. So Steve said, appreciate that this is just a toy, but for posterity, we've replaced almost every pointer move with a global tick because the camera can move independent of the mouse, which changes the page position. So yeah, that's super interesting. Also, other people, here we go. Also, other people could drag shapes in
live
and
collaboration.
out of your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's right, because we're sort of treating the client right now as a single source of truth for all these events. But when you're live collaborating, that's not the case anymore.
Yeah. And actually, I know you're giving like the more advanced scenario. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to make this work such that we could select shapes on pointer move, and then we're going to do it your way, or well, at least closer to your way, where we're not going to be doing it in pointer move, and instead we're going to be using a tick. And so this is actually going to be a really good example of using invocations and listening to that tick to select shapes, which will make it more flexible for doing things like when people are collaborating with you, or when the camera moves outside of your control, or things like that. So let's get this first part in, though. Our selection is going to be the shapes.
Yeah.
Where each shape is intersected by the box. And so each shape has an XY width and height. So it has a position, XY, and the size, which is the width and height. So I'm basically going to say like the shape intersects if any of the corners of the box
enter like inside the shape or on the border, right?
Exactly.
So it's a collision detection problem now.
Oh yeah, which is fun. That's why I really wish I had Copilot here.
Okay, so you basically need. It's not that hard.
I know. I'm just being lazy. So write a collision detection function in JavaScript for two shapes with X, Y, with.
I'll do it TypeScript, please. It's gonna be a nightmare to write types.
Yeah. So in TypeScript, where shape or where you provide two args, shape and selection box. The shape has X, Y with height, and the selection box has 0.1, 0.2, where each point is X, Y. I'm sure ChatGPT could understand this. And so the function should return true if the selection box intersects shape. Let's see what it does.
I can see you're using ChatGPT 4.
Is it 4?
I don't know. Your UI looks more sophisticated than mine. So
I'm not upgraded to plus, but let's see what it does. So we have the shape, we have the selection box, which is correct, and then we have this function is intersecting. And so let's see, selection box. Okay, so it's basically doing the same thing that we were doing in our selection box component. So we're verifying that that's correct. And we determine the bounds of the shape. Oh, okay. So it's pretty much making them equal in terms of like converting the shape to an X min, X max, and a Y min, Y max, which is a much better name than left min and left max. I don't know why I did that. Okay. So
Johannes asks, are we dealing with rectangles? I think for now, yes, but you should assume that any arbitrary shape could go on the canvas.
oh yeah, no, that is a Steve Ruiz problem.
Yeah.
That is something that we do not tackle. Okay, so I got some help from ChatGPT. Thanks very much. And so I'm just going to make our utils.ts file, which you know how everyone has like that drawer in their house or apartment where just anything you could find, it goes in there. Like it's just a junk drawer for anything. That's what utils.ts and utils.js is. It's just a place to shove whatever you have. So export function is intersecting. And so we have a shape in a selection box. Okay. So we're going to say context.shapes.filter shape, and we're going to return is intersecting, is intersect. Okay, import is intersecting from utils. Okay, so is intersecting. And so the first thing that we pass in is a shape, but because of the funny way that we structured our shapes, we have to massage this a little bit. So shape.position.x. Actually, I could just do this, being lazy. Shape.position and shape.size.
Unity with, oh yeah.
Yeah. And so that's going to come from the size. And we have our points 1, context.box point 1, and points 2. Oops. Context.box points 2. Steve, if you're still in the chat, I would be interested to see how you structured these, like whether you flatten them, X, Y, width, and height, or whether you have them in an object. But anyway. Okay, so this is going to, let's see, we're getting yelled at. It's probably because I'm missing a parentheses, right? I hope that that's it.
Yeah, looks like a syntax error somewhere.
Not exactly a syntax error. I think it's app shape. I think we just had to provide the shape.id. And so the selection looks good. Expected comma, right? Oh, assign selection. No, this should be fine. Okay, yeah, see, it was fine. Cool. Okay, so let's double click.
Steve answered the question, David. Yeah, they're flattened it, normalizing.
Hey, look, it works. There we go. So now we could select, and that is way too, let's go back to our
10x engineer, right?
Okay, so you actually use W and H for width and height. That's very interesting. I might steal that. That's actually pretty elegant. All right, cool. So let's go to our selection box, and I'm going to make it a lot more transparent because it is very, I think that works. And yeah, this is, we'll just have the solid blue. Although that's very, okay, I think that looks more like a normal selection box there. So that works pretty well.
I think it's good.
There we go.
Yeah. It works when it touches the corners, right?
Let's find out. I just moved my mouse too fast, but there we go.
Great, yeah.
Okay, so I actually want to oh wow, didn't know that would happen, but I want to dive into what Steve actually said. He says that height and width being one character off drives me nuts. Oh yeah. So height is 6 characters long, width is 5. I could see that. I'm going to standardize the TL draw style. Okay, so let's do something fun. I'm going to do this directly in the state chart because doing things in the state chart is pretty fun. We have a key down listener over here, and I'm also going to just create something that randomly adds boxes. And so here's how we're going to do it. We're going to create a new invocation, and we're just going to call this chaos, because if this is introduced to your diagramming app, you're going to freak out because shapes are going to appear and you're not going to know where they came from. And so we're going to invoke a callback. So we're just going to send back. I don't know why I call it callback, but I just like using the term send back. And so what we're going to do is we're going to set an interval, and every second we're going to add a new shape. So we're just going to send back, and we have box.add. And again, this is one of the really awesome things about state charts. I can't talk about this enough, but everything is just an event. So if you're hard coding all of this inside your event handlers or your use effects in React, and then you have a requirement that comes in that says, hey, we want you to be able to programmatically add these shapes from anywhere, it's not easy to do. You basically have to find some way to extract all that logic out. But if you do it in an event-based way, then you could literally do it anywhere. It's just an event. To my knowledge, this is how TL draw works, just using events and updating state via events, or close enough, right? Steve could correct me if I'm wrong. So we're going to send back box.add. And so type box.add. And this takes a few things. It takes the shape, which is all of those properties we talked about. What's in the shape? I forgot.
There's width and height for sure.
Okay, yeah. So we have the position, and so this is just going to be x math.random times whatever it is. Let's do it in a 400 grid. And then y is going to be math.random times 400 too.
All right, we actually have to make sure that this is in bounds of the entire canvas, right? It shouldn't randomly appear anywhere in document.
Well, so that's why I'm limiting it to 400, because I don't know the exact sizes.
Okay.
Yeah. But I guess, if there's a way to find that out, then I'm just being lazy right now. The width is going to be math.random times 50, I guess. And the height is going to be math.random times 50. And we're missing a couple things, the ID, type, and the color. So ID, I don't know, date.now. Type, what are our options? Box. Make it a normal box. And
so rectangles weren't the only thing that we're dealing with.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and we have a color. So these are going to be red. So remember, when we double click, we have our orange. Oh, it's working already. Okay, it's randomly adding boxes. I wasn't expecting that to work already. Let's bump these up here. Okay. Cool. So you're going to see that every second it's just going to be randomly adding these boxes. And of course, we could click them to select. At least I think so. Not sure why clicking's not working, but it should. Oh, you know why? Because actually, I don't know why. But clicking them should work. Yeah, that's
how many states do we have? David, is it probably because we're on a state, like when it's generating those random rectangles, like you're in a state that you can't really click? Is that the case?
I think, all right, so this is something that we ran into in the editor as well. So when we start doing pointer down, we have to make sure that the events, if event.target is not the event current target. So basically that means if we're clicking something else, then then we shouldn't be handling that use case. So now I think it's going to work normally, although these are impossible to click, so I'm not going to bother clicking them. But okay, these are, for whatever reason, these are pretty hard to click. Oh, and it's still doing the rect thing, so not sure what's going on, but that's not the thing I wanted to demonstrate anyway. The thing I want to demonstrate is, let's say that you have some rectangles over here and you select a bunch. The problem is, if I don't move my mouse, you're going to notice that some of these rectangles aren't selected. So basically we're simulating, like, let's say that we're building a collaborative drawing app and people are adding shapes, but we still have this selection rectangle. Because I'm not moving my mouse, we're not, or like until I move my mouse, we're not going to get those shapes in the selection, which is a problem. And so that's what Steve was talking about. And so that's why, we have canvas.pointerMove. Instead of that, we could really move that to something else. So we're going to keep this assigned over here. And we are just going to, we're just going to add this tick over. Trying to think. Okay, so we have chaos. Let's add one more. And this is just going to be ID AF. I need to sneeze.
I sincerely hope that you mean animation frame.
Let's comment that. Animation frame, not something else. And the source is going to be, well, we're going to do the same thing where we send back something. And so this is just going to be like const function equals send back, and we'll just do type tick. Again, we're just live coding, experimenting. There's a whole bunch of ugly rectangles over there that are showing up. Selection doesn't work for some reason.
Why are we not reassigning selection box on box.add event to make sure that not only does this come from pointer move, but also when you add a new box onto the canvas?
So why aren't we doing what again?
So you were assigning to selection box in the context. You're basically selecting them in the context whenever the pointer move event came, right? By dragging the selection box. Why don't we do the same thing, like run the same action in React to box.add event? So to make sure that we also assign them to selection if they are colliding with the selection box when they're being added. Well,
that's a thing that that Steve was talking about, where if you're trying to do that and you're trying to narrow the subset of events where like a box can be added, then that's going to get pretty messy. So one of his solutions, and this is only one way of modeling it, there's many ways of modeling it, was to just do the selection logic on every tick. And so that's why over here we have request animation frame, like we're just going to run this function and then we're just going to loop it again. Request animation frame function. So this is going to run every 16 or 17 milliseconds, and we're just going to be sending back that tick event. So while we're in the selecting state, and we don't have a type for this yet, but when we tick, that's when we do that assignment. And it's red right now because
there's no tick event yet.
Right. But now you could see that any box that comes in is going to be selected. And that's because, again, we're running that selection logic on every animation frame. So it works pretty seamlessly. And I don't have to move the mouse. Everything works pretty well. So, yeah.
Yeah. Looks really nice.
Yeah. And so one tiny last thing, Fargo, we have a key down listener here. And so this key down listener, what does it give us? I think it gives us like key.escape or key.delete. But let's do one for escape, because I want to show you something cool. Let's say that I have the logic where for key down, on the condition that and key is, I think it's escape, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the key is escape, then we actually don't want to be selecting anymore. So we could say target. This is just going to go back to normal. Yeah, normal. And we are also going to clear out the selection. So actions, sign, selection, and that could just be an empty array.
Yeah.
So the idea is that we're selecting. I'll make a few of these. We're selecting, and we press escape. And now we're no longer selecting any of those. So yeah. And of course, we could just delete a bunch of these. I could delete the really thin boxes that you can't see. I need to improve my generative art algorithm, but yeah.
I think this looks pretty decent, and we've tackled a lot of challenges in this stream. So let's defer the other ones to the next stream.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we did a lot here. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, just for the last question, Johannes is asking, I wonder at what point you'd need a more efficient data structure for finding intersecting shapes. Never. I mean, I would say that depends on the scale, right? Like how many items you have.
Yeah, it depends on the scale. There is also something called rbush. So this is something that I've been meaning to add to our own editor, because we keep thinking like, okay, you can make simple state machines. No one's ever going to make a state machine with more than 40 states or transition, right? Wrong. People do make pretty big state machines in here. So yeah, there's this library called rbush. I don't know where the name came from. And it's also not been updated for a while, which is either a very bad sign or a very good sign. I'm going to take it as a very good sign, because with libraries like these, they're highly mathematical and data structure algorithm based. So it's like, these are the kinds of things that don't change that often. But rbush is really cool because it allows you to efficiently do spatial indexing of points in rectangles. So it's basically like just different from doing like a linear indexing. It's a special data structure, so it is a lot faster at doing things like finding all items within this bounding box, which is exactly our use case, selection. So just to look at a demo real quick, we're going to insert, like, yeah, you can see that there's a lot over here. And I guess it's just showing the spatial indexing of those things. I wonder if there's any demos of it actually. No, there's not. But anyway, rbush would be the thing to use in order to efficiently, I guess, select many things or find which rectangles are in a certain subset, like a rectangle. So definitely check out rbush. Check out TLDraw. I think TLDraw is basically a masterclass in diagramming tools like this. Yeah, so I had fun.
Martin says, as always, these streams have been very instructive to follow. Thanks for watching us, really. I think this is like mainly very fun for us. I'm having a lot of fun watching David live code this stuff. Yeah, but thank you for being here in the live stream.
Yeah. Okay, I failed to parse the machine definition, but yeah. Till next time. And again, join us tomorrow for office hours, where Farzad's going to be showing off some really, really cool stuff.
All right. Have a good one, everyone. See you later.
See you all.